whole 15 questions.
15 questions, and that does it. And I want you to know that you actually are...
Who would have thought that behind the gentle smile of Keanu Reeves lies a story soaked in sorrow? A man adored by millions, known for his kindness, humility, and zen-like calm, but few know the torment that forged it. Behind the legendary status of a Hollywood star, there exists a boy who lost everything, a lover who buried his heart, and a fatherless soul searching for meaning. He's the man who never raises his voice, yet has screamed silently through decades of loss. Is it possible that his kindness isn't just compassion, but a shield against unimaginable grief? This is not the Keanu Reeves you see on screen. This is Keanu in the shadows, and once you see his journey, you may never look at him the same way again. Before he was Neo, before the suits, the sunglasses, or the stoic calm that captivated the world, Keanu Reeves was just a lost boy drifting through the chaos of a broken home. Born in Beirut, Lebanon in 1964, his life started like a film already in turmoil. His father, Samuel Reeves, abandoned the family when Keanu was just 3 years old. Not with a tearful goodbye, but with complete disappearance. No explanation, no return, just silence. His mother, Patricia, a costume designer, tried to hold things together, but holding isn't the same as healing. She moved him from city to city, New York, Sydney, Toronto, always chasing work, always escaping something unnamed. With every move, Keanu had to leave behind friends, routines, and any sense of home. We moved around a lot. I went to 4 different high schools. I was never in one place long enough to belong, he once said, his voice carrying the quiet ache of someone who never felt grounded. But it wasn't just the instability. School was a battlefield. Diagnosed with dyslexia, Keanu struggled academically. Words twisted, sentences blurred, teachers misunderstood. He was branded as slow, disruptive, even difficult. He wasn't difficult, he was drowning. As if that weren't enough, his stepfathers there, where several came and went, like ghostly figures in a revolving door. No one stayed. No one became dad. Some were cold, some were worse. And amidst all this, Keanu developed a stutter. A boy who would later become famous for his voice couldn't speak without struggle. Imagine that. A childhood of silence, not by choice, but by circumstance. I always felt like an outsider, Keanu confessed in an early interview. Even when I was in a room full of people, I felt alone. He found refuge in ice hockey and the world of stories, not the ones in textbooks, but the ones in movies. He dreamed not of fame, but of escape. Toronto was cold, both in weather and in spirit, but the hockey rink gave him purpose. He became known as The Wall, a goalie with sharp instincts and fierce determination. But even that dream died young. A serious injury took him off the ice, and just like that, another door closed. Home wasn't home. School was hostile. Dreams collapsed. And yet, he kept moving. Not out of ambition, but survival. I don't think I ever stopped feeling like that lost boy, he would later admit. But eventually, I realized maybe being lost is just the beginning of finding something real. In a small apartment in Toronto, with peeling walls and a single mattress, Keanu began rehearsing lines from Shakespeare, not for an audience, but for himself. For the first time, words didn't betray him. They gave him power. The world would one day cheer his roles, his silence, his subtlety, but none of them would understand that every calm gesture was built on storms you never saw. He was not born into greatness. He was carved by abandonment, tempered by rejection, raised by ghosts. He didn't look like a typical star. He didn't sound like one. And frankly, he didn't care to be one. What Keanu wanted was far simpler. To belong, to become someone, anyone, who didn't feel invisible. After dropping out of high school at 17, not once, but 4 times, Keanu decided to chase the one thing that made sense: acting. Not for the fame, but for the permission to feel something, to be someone else, even if just for a scene. In the beginning, doors didn't just close, they slammed. He was too quiet, too stiff, too strange. "You're not leading man material," one casting agent said flatly. "You'll never make it." But he kept showing up. Audition after audition. One-liner roles in television movies, background parts, forgettable commercials. He took them all. He failed the first time, then the second, then the third, and yet he came back the fourth. His first real break came in 1986's River's Edge, a dark, disturbing indie film about teenage apathy and murder. Keanu wasn't playing a hero. He was playing numbness, and he did it so naturally, it hurt to watch. Hollywood started to notice, but not in the way he expected. He's a good face, not much range. Put him in teen dramas, give him a skateboard, keep it surface level. Then came Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, 1989. It exploded, the world laughed, the box office roared. And Keanu became a joke. He was Ted, the lovable idiot, the stoner voice, the spaced-out surfer. People mimicked his speech, not his soul. They mocked his stillness, his sincerity. They didn't see the man behind the grin. I felt like I was being boxed into a character I didn't recognize, Keanu later said. It made me question if I even had a voice. The more famous he became, the more invisible he felt. This was not the dream. This was a trap. But something changed in 1991. My Own Private Idaho. Directed by Gus Van Sant, co-starring River Phoenix. A haunting, poetic tale of identity, abandonment, and survival. Keanu wasn't acting. He was bleeding. The film didn't just open new doors, it ripped down the walls. Suddenly, critics saw him, not as Ted, not as a fluke, but as an actor. He followed with Point Break, Bram Stoker's Dracula, Speed, each one sharpening his edge, redefining him. But even as the roles grew, so did the doubt. Because Hollywood never fully trusted Keanu Reeves. Too weird to be mainstream. Too mainstream to be indie. Too silent to be marketable. Too humble to play the game. But there was one thing they never accounted for. He never gave up. While others faked their way in, Keanu stayed unapologetically real. He turned down big roles. He walked off films that clashed with his gut. He took pay cuts so the crew could be paid more. He rehearsed scenes until his knuckles bled, literally. He didn't climb the ladder. He carved his own path up the mountain. But even as he ascended, the storm was only beginning to gather. By the late 1990 seconds, Keanu Reeves was everywhere. Movie posters, magazine covers, red carpets. He had become the face of a new kind of leading man, brooding, quiet, impossibly cool. And then came The Matrix. 1999. A role that would forever change his career. Neo. A messianic hacker who questions reality, fights machines, and becomes a symbol of rebellion for an entire generation. The film wasn't just a hit, it was a cultural earthquake. It redefined sci-fi, redefined action, redefined him. Keanu became an icon, a legend, a brand. The world finally applauded, but behind the applause, he was still alone. I had everything, except peace, he would later admit. Success felt like a costume, and underneath it, I still didn't know who I was. While fans saw the cool sunglasses and bullet-dodging slow motion, Keanu was battling something far colder. Fame didn't heal his wounds, it only hid them. Behind the scenes, his life was eerily empty. He didn't party, didn't bask in red carpet glamour. He often took the subway, ate alone, lived in hotels, slept in trailers. No entourage, no ego. Just Keanu. He's the most un-Hollywood person in Hollywood, a co-star once said. He disappears the second the cameras stop. And yet, he kept giving everything to his work. He trained for months in martial arts, learned fight choreography for The Matrix that other actors would have used stunt doubles for. He poured his body and soul into every frame. He didn't just perform, he surrendered. But Hollywood rarely rewards the quiet warrior. While his films earned billions, Keanu made decisions that baffled executives. He gave up $38 million of his own salary from The Matrix sequels just so the crew and effects teams could be paid better. He turned down roles in blockbusters, choosing instead passion projects, or simply vanishing for months. "Money is the last thing I think about," he once said. You can't take it with you. What matters is what you leave behind. Even at the top, he remained unreachable. Not because he looked down on others, but because he never stopped looking within. He didn't buy mansions. He didn't chase headlines. He didn't build an empire. He simply lived quietly, earnestly, painfully. And all the while, a storm was coming. Fame had brought him to the peak of the mountain. But what waited at the summit was not triumph. It was tragedy. While millions saw him as the one, Keanu Reeves was quietly losing everyone he loved. The camera never caught it. The headlines didn't scream it. But behind the legend, his soul was breaking piece by piece. 1999, the year The Matrix premiered, the peak of his career. The world was shouting his name. But Keanu was grieving in silence. Just months before, he and his partner, actress Jennifer Syme, were expecting their first child, a baby girl. They named her Ava Archer Syme Reeves. He bought toys. She designed the nursery. They spoke about names, lullabies, and a future that finally felt bright. But in the 8th month of pregnancy, tragedy struck. Ava was stillborn. No warning, no reason. Just gone. It was devastating, Keanu said years later. Grief doesn't go away, it changes shape, but it never leaves. The loss shattered their relationship. Jennifer fell into depression. Keanu withdrew from everything: press, parties, even work. They tried to stay friends. They still loved each other. But the weight of grief made them drift. And then, fate dealt its cruelest blow. April 2001. Jennifer Syme was driving home after a party. She crashed into a row of parked cars in Los Angeles. She was thrown from the vehicle. She died instantly. She was only 28. Keanu didn't speak publicly for weeks. No press release, no televised statement. Just one image. A man standing alone at her funeral, silent, pale, holding a single rose. 2 years. He lost a daughter he never met. And the woman he never stopped loving. But the grief didn't stop there. Over the years, Keanu would bury his best friend River Phoenix, who died of a drug overdose outside the Viper Room in 1993. He would lose his sister Kim to leukemia after a long, quiet battle. During her treatment, Keanu put his career on hold, paid for every therapy, and rarely left her side. He didn't speak about any of it. He didn't cry on talk shows. He didn't write memoirs. He carried it all in silence. Grief is like an invisible weight, he once told a reporter. You don't get over it. You learn to carry it, and sometimes it carries you. He started disappearing from the spotlight for long stretches. No explanation. Just gone. He turned down roles, lived out of suitcases, slept on friends' couches, walked the streets of New York alone for hours. One viral photo showed him sitting on a park bench, eating a sandwich by himself, looking utterly broken. The internet called it Sad Keanu. A meme was born. But it wasn't just a meme. It was real. I'm not sad, Keanu would later say. I'm just dealing with things. He never remarried. Never had children. Never chased headlines. Never chased healing. He simply existed, carrying a lifetime of pain beneath the surface of a calm, kind exterior. Fame gave him everything, and then took it all away. He never called it a comeback, because for Keanu Reeves, there was never a finish line, only survival. And survival for him meant choosing kindness over and over again. After the deaths, after the heartbreak, after the silence, Keanu did not retreat into bitterness. He retreated into compassion. He began living life in the simplest way. No mansions. No red carpets. No screaming headlines. Just small apartments, quiet walks, a motorcycle, a paperback novel, a shared smile with strangers. He refused to live like a celebrity, because he had seen how temporary everything could be. I tried to be thankful for every breath, he once said, because each one could be the last. He became known as the most humble man in Hollywood. He gave away millions to cancer research silently in honor of his sister Kim. He funded children's hospitals without attaching his name. He paid entire film crews out of his own pocket when studios ran out of budget. He gave up seats for others on the subway, waited in line like everyone else. He once spent his birthday alone at a bakery, sharing cake with strangers. No entourage, no PR spin. Just Keanu, being decent when no one was watching. Then came John Wick, a quiet, stylized action film that no one expected to become a franchise. It was the role of a man who had lost everything and responded with vengeance. But beneath the gunfire and combat, there was something achingly familiar. Grief, loss, silence. John Wick wasn't just a character, it was a mirror. Fans felt it, critics praised it. And once again, Keanu rose not as a star, but as a symbol. A reminder that pain doesn't have to harden us. That gentleness is its own form of rebellion. In recent years, his quotes have become gospel to a new generation. I don't want to live in a world where kindness is considered weakness. You never know what someone is going through. Be kind, always. I've been through a lot, but I'm still here, and I still believe in love. He found peace not through forgetting the pain, but by transforming it. Turning loss into empathy, loneliness into connection, and silence into presence. Today, Keanu Reeves still rides his bike through Los Angeles, still stops to help strangers with car trouble, still avoids the spotlight when he can. He is, by all definitions, a movie star. But that's not how he wants to be remembered. I'm just trying to be a good person, he says. That's the only role that really matters. Then side and inhale 3 managin. There's a moment, just a blink in time, where you might see him sitting on a park bench, alone, head bowed, sandwich in hand. And in that moment, the world laughed. They called it Sad Keanu. A meme. A punchline. But maybe they missed the truth. Because what if he wasn't sad? What if he was simply present? Grieving, remembering, choosing stillness in a world that never stops shouting. Keanu Reeves never asked to be a hero. He never sought worship or wealth. He didn't fight for a crown. He fought for peace, for dignity, for a life that meant something quietly. In a world where kindness is often mistaken for weakness, Keanu chose to be kind anyway. In a business built on ego, he chose humility. In a lifetime carved by loss, he chose love. So now, when you see that calm smile, or hear that soft-spoken voice, or watch him walk away from the spotlight as gently as he entered it, ask yourself, do the deepest scars make the gentlest souls? And can a man shaped by grief become a light for others lost in the dark? If this story moved you, if it reminded you that pain does not erase goodness, but can deepen it, then leave a word, a thought, a thank you. A thought is sediment of God, not to a celebrity, but to a man named Keanu Reeves, the quiet legend who never stopped believing in humanity.